Oh, hello.
Hey girl, how you feeling?
How are you? What's going on?
I'm well. I'm feeling good. I had a very jam-packed weekend in which I am fully recovered. It had led me to a couple of days of mania and feeling very revved up. It all started with a Juneteenth event in Philadelphia that was just top tier. Top tier. I know we joke about Philly being raggedy, and it is. But the beautiful Black people, the young folks that showed up and showed out at this event, it was organized apparently by a bunch of Temple alum, Black Summer Soul series. Is the name of the folks that are organizing these series of events throughout Philly for the young Black folks to gather and frolic, and they did such a great job. They had a Juneteenth event in which Sable vended, but girl, I'm telling you that I would be proud to have somebody that lives in New York come to an event like this.
Why are you doing that?
It was giving vibes. It was giving vibes. It was giving organization. It was giving just fun. It was giving intention. It was giving class. It was really, really a lot of fun. I did that on Saturday, and the actual day of Juneteenth, it got real militant and hoteppy in Malcolm X Park. We vended there as well. And the red, black, and green flags were flailing. Niggas was out. You just passed by, like, there were vending tables, and there was just a lot of, what you gotta understand, see, is that. There was just a lot of that going on, which was just music to my ears. Not the same crowd, but again, just like a militant, hoteppy. It was range. They were giving range.
I love it.
On 52nd Street, Malcolm X Park, Memorial Park. Okay, there was double dutch. There was an inebriated woman who kept trying to mess up the rope. It was wild. I saw a grandma. This one was probably like 56. I mean, she was Black, so she could have been like 68 or 56. I don't know, between that range. About to fight another 56-year-old woman. And all I heard the other one was like,
Juneteenth.
Make my day. And then the two women were holding back the grandma. I'm like, your granddaughter here, don't do it. And they're like old, so they like weren't moving with a lot of force either. It was just all out of like spittle being shared between each other. And like, but they showed out for the community. At both events though. Well, all right, so like the Saturday, the young youthful joint, you know, it was less family oriented, you know, it's the beginning of a lot of irresponsible actions. Maybe families were going to come from that event, but whereas Sunday was like more family oriented. Mm-hmm. So you know, this is 2022. The swirls were everywhere. There were just little brown, curly haired babies everywhere. Like the mixing of the races is mainstream now, y'all. Shout out to Loving Day. And now we have to reckon with, in a way I think we haven't had to reckon with before, the mixing of the families, right? Because you have these brown kids, and then you have the Black parent, and then the white parent. What, you gonna tell the white parent not to come? What do you like? So now you have a lot of white people participate, like white moms, white fathers. You know, got the brown baby on the shoulders, walking in the Juneteenth parade. It's giving.
But I feel
optics.
I feel like it's interesting optics. But I also feel like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because it's kind of like, don't we want them to understand the history, celebrate the history, take accountability for their ancestors' sins, like all kinds of, like, I think that's a
accountability
great.
and celebrating a Juneteenth. I mean, it gets tricky, but we
I
as a
think the
nation,
accountability is celebrating it and acknowledging it and honoring it and saying like, this is American history. Black history is American history. This is my child's history.
I dig it.
So
I
like
get it.
I'd be annoyed too. Like don't go and make it about you though and be the center of fucking attention. But if you want to come to the parade and celebrate and walk around with your fucking family,
But then
I
I'm telling
listen.
you, I know it gets.
It's
That's
tricky.
what I'm saying. And more and more, that's what we're going to reckon with because these little brown kids,
Here to stay.
these little biracial babies.
I don't like how you're
These-
saying brown. Not everybody is brown from being biracial.
I'm sorry, I have privilege. I have a brown privilege. These
Yes, you do.
these biracial babies are coming forth, and these white folks are getting more and more sympathetic and hearing the woes of the black people and want to like participate. And I mean, like, but that was one thing, and I was like, cool. But then, you know, you got the black guy with his blonde girlfriend, like grinding to what we do is wrong, like as the Juneteenth, what are those firecrackers go off, and I was like, this is absurd.
You
This is
needed to
crazy.
take a video of that.
I tried to, but I think he saw me. I have it on my phone actually. I think he saw me.
That's a part of the stories tomorrow.
Cause that's a whole other story of like, girl, nigga.
How do you grind to what we do?
Like I said,
it's not a vibe.
it wasn't with the Juneteenth firecrackers going on. It just
Also, what we do is terrible. It's not about liberation.
it gets the people going now.
I
You
know.
would
It's
have
my
been so
favorite
happy.
song.
That's how they ended it with just back to back Philly songs, and the whole crowd was going crazy. So I'm just calming down from that. Like I just crashed. I was like up. I couldn't calm
She
down.
said I went out twice, back to back, and it
was
took
that,
me
and
out
just
for
like
the week.
work. Yeah, it was like just the grind of it and talking to people. I was like, what the fuck? I also had the pleasure. I don't know if you guys missed this, but I've been wanting this for a really long time. It's a gallon. It's a
If you were
measured.
on Patreon, you could see what she has in her hand.
It is a measured gallon water bottle. You know, this is like one thing that I would never treat myself to, but I had the pleasure of going on Devin Zoolander's podcast in the beginning of the week as well. And he is a character, and I love him. I love people that are themselves, like just earnest, unabashedly, just his fucking self. And that's who he was. And he's like, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I want to give you these gifts. It's between you and Antoinette. Since Antoinette's here, you can pick which one you want. And I took them both. And these are
I
them.
took them both. See?
It is a water jug. Shout out to you, Devin. And a
It's
lunchbox.
cute, too. A lunchbox?
And he gave me a lunchbox.
Oh
And
my God.
Jojo
Oh,
needed
that's
it.
so sweet.
So
So you're taking both of them?
I don't think that you need either of them. You don't go to your work for lunch. And JoJo is starting school in September. So, and I'm definitely not giving this up. If it has, it's listen, girl, I be drinking water now. I really do.
He might have just saved your fucking life.
He might have. He might
Your
have just
dehydrated ass life. Very good, Devin. God's
Shout out to
word.
Devin. You guys should check out his episode. He had really good questions. Really, really professional questions and editing.
His
And
branding is fire.
I was like,
His,
nigga, you potted, nigga. Go
I
ahead.
know.
This is a
His
fucking
branding
podcast.
is so good.
But yeah, I'm still, still not listening to myself. I feel like we should piggyback from the weeks before so we can keep people abreast. But yeah, still not listening to myself. Still not trusting myself. As I mentioned in last week's episode, I will let you guys know what comes of that. But still in the upside down, if you will, which I finished.
This is all. You finished?
I finished. I have so much
Why
things.
is that not on pop culture?
Because I don't want to talk about it, because I have so much to say about the ending of it, and I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but...
How did it end? Do I remember?
Oh, wow.
I gotta go back.
How are you?
I'm okay. My Juneteenth, what did I do Juneteenth? Oh, Juneteenth, what did I do? I met up with Mandy, and we went to, if you can hear that, that is my cat's automatic feeder going off, and that is my voice on the automatic feeder, letting her know that it is indeed time to eat. I need to reschedule that time because it doesn't work for our recording. But anyway, I met up with her. We went to Fort Greene Park to the layout. Jade of all Jades came. Shout out to Tristan. Happy Father's Day, King.
Oh, yeah, it was Father's
Crystal
Day.
came out. Fran's in town. She came. Asante. And it was so funny to see them in that environment that was hella mixy, and they looked like they were going to die. And Jay tried to play.
What does that mean?
It was just a very crowded. Like, I think Jay told them, like, oh, we're going to go lay out in the park. But the layout is an event. And so you don't have to pay, but it's like everybody brings their blanket. Everybody's doing, Mandy taught me this, doing laps to try to get seen. And like people are trying to be cute and be outside.
Laps.
Yeah, they lap. That's what it's called, a lap. Take a lap. I've heard people say that, like Chi and them, be like, time for a lap.
That's like walk around.
PBO, a walk around, exactly. So I was like, oh, that's what y'all doing? Anyway, so we went, and they were fine. The way that they were positioned, it was cool. And we had a good time. I was a bit inebriated, but it was nice. Played spades. I was with my friend George, who I just love. But it was cool. It was a good vibe. But I did realize that a lot of the blacks don't know what Juneteenth is. And it was irritating me because I think I asked you and you were like, yeah, it was when slavery had it was done.
1865 is when.
Wait, what?
1865.
I thought you said 1965.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I was.
Be concerned for your mom, not me.
My mom definitely doesn't know what Juneteenth is. And
1865.
What happened, girl?
One of the sites of the Civil War.
Oh no!
One of the areas in which they were fighting, it like they were like, "Yo, it's done. We lost. It's done."
Shanti. It was Texas because Texas was a safe haven for slavery. This is 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
No, it happened first that they lost the site, but Texas was like, "No, we're still holding on. We're still holding on to this belief." It got to Texas last, from my understanding. Texas was the last state to.
Yes, and Juneteenth was when the soldiers rode down and let them know, like, nah, this shit.
Yeah, it's over. We lost. That's what I said.
No, not we lost. It was clear that the Civil War, they had lost the Civil War, but Texas, they still didn't abide by the law.
Oh, okay.
Because it wasn't no social media, you know?
All right, but it was like...
They couldn't call them up. But I think what people are missing is that Texas is... It's always Texas. Ugh! But they had been their own republic for a second, and then they got so much bad world publicity that they came on back to the States, and then the Civil War happened. But Texas was basically a safe haven for slavery back in the Disney, and it probably still is on the low. So, tricky.
Fuck Texas. Beyonce
no, seriously, fuck Texas, because they're not well over there. They really aren't. We'll get it. Will we get into that today? Maybe. We might get into what's going on in Texas right now. But anyway, that happened. And then I was on the See the Thing Is podcast this week. I have a whole lot to say this week. There was a hot take that I had. Whenever I go on there and Mandy starts talking about music, I just realize how much older I am. It's like dog years for me. Like, I'm an old lady. And so she was saying IMX. Do you know who IMX is? I thought it was BMX, like a bike. I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. IMX. Is BMX a bike? Oh, God. The bike
BMX
athlete?
is a bike. Yes.
Okay. Or a sport. So IMX, remember Immature?
Yes.
They rebranded themselves. I think that's who that is. As IMX.
Yes.
Did you know that?
I believe that does ring a bell in my brain. Yes.
I could still be wrong. But she was talking about them. She was talking about all kinds of stuff. And I had somehow mentioned Cisco. And then I had a hot take. And I said Cisco would lose. He would be obliterated. He wouldn't be obliterated, but he would lose. But Cisco could actually go up against Usher. Cisco has a solid 15, 16 records. And the records, if they let him do Drew Hill, and the records that Cisco has, they're real records. They're like banger records. And so I went to my Cisco wormhole, and I woke up to a whole bunch of people just telling me how ridiculous I was. And I said, first of all, I said he would lose. We know Cisco would lose. But people are not understanding how big the thong song was. I don't even like the song, but the thong song might have been bigger than Single Ladies back in the day. And there was no social media. There was none of this ticky-tock that's making it go viral like that. Just globally was a thing. You got to tell me what you want.
But that's against Usher?
What did I just say? He would lose. But because everybody's saying who could go up against Usher. I don't think anybody could go up against Usher and win. But all you need is 20 songs. That's what people are not. I'm talking about specifically verses. If he went toe to toe with Usher for catalog, you're not. You can't do it. But only 20 songs, he could hold. He could hold his own. He could hit you with the Maya track. He could hit you with how many licks. He can hit you with what's the one with DMX.
I think he's a great contender. I just don't.
And he can sing.
Not a contender. I think he has he has somebody that he could go up against versus, but I wouldn't even consider him in the same.
I'm saying,
Usher
there's not
and
many
Cisco
people that I would ever consider for Usher, but I'm talking about in terms of vocal ability. And now that everybody's saying versus is now about how you perform as well, because I don't want to see Usher and Chris Brown. I just think that's two different time periods. I'm not understanding that correlation. I don't like it. But I'm talking about like the throwback nostalgia of it. Like Usher hits you with "You Make Me Wanna," and then Cisco come out with "Tell Me What You Want." It's violent body rolls all night. Like that's a good night. But I don't think anybody else can go up against Cisco. People were saying Dino Jones today. I was like, Dino Jones got a good 6, 7. Cisco got like 17. Like he has it.
There is somebody, but we're just not finding.
We're not thinking of them.
We're not thinking of him. But
we're not thinking. I don't know. Like there's no other.
Usher's not even
to me. Usher's in a whole other. I'm very clear. Usher would win. Cisco would lose. But all I'm saying is, put some respect on Cisco's name. So that was the thing. Cisco deserves. People were talking about Cisco like he was trash. Yes. So.
Yeah. Who the fuck is doing shit like that these days? Consistently.
If you really listen to
branded
what's the part?
Ad lib.
Wait, but what's the part? Somebody sleeping in my bed. The end of that song, he is going deep up in.
Messing with my head. No. Listen.
He's going in on that.
Niggas ain't ad-libbing the way that they use. The niggas ain't. Women are. Women are ad-libbing their asses off. But the niggas,
I don't know. I miss that sound, but I love.
It's a brand.
I love Cisco.
You don't even have to know what the song is. If you hear yeah. Oh,
the fact that you are singing that like that is crazy.
We know what it's about to be.
When you hit the run, baby.
It's consistent. I wonder what he's doing. I hope he's happy. I hope he's living the life of luxury.
He still performs. The sad part is he's trying to come back. And
I like Genuine comeback, girl. Did you see it? Oh my God.
I said yoga is a thing, Genuine. God damn, stretch.
He's stiff as
you saw him doing it and he was holding the couch. It looked like that edit was hilarious.
The thing is that we didn't ask. He didn't have to do it. He could have come on and made everybody excited. You didn't have to attempt that, sir.
No, he didn't.
There was no reason
It's
for
tricky.
that.
But anyway, so that was a thing. So make sure you check that episode out. In addition, speaking of Mandy, I want to shout her out. A big shout out to her. We celebrated the opening of her brand new creative space, her studio, full court studios in Brooklyn. And I couldn't be more proud of her. She has done such an amazing job. So
And it's just for podcasts.
big ups to her. It's not just for podcasting, no. It's rigged for podcasting, but it is a performance space. So if you wanted to go in there and perform, if you have an EP that you try to do and you trying to sing it or whatever, like she has it rigged so that the each wall is kind of a different vibe. And so you can reconfigure the furniture. She has a setup if you want to rent it out for a month and then paint in there if you want to. You can do that. There's just a fee to do it. Like she's really trying to work with production companies and things like that. She's going to rent it to podcasters as well, but not like one-off things. Like she wants to build with folks and build brands in there. And so I'm super proud of her. And she's very dedicated to it. She has a team of people that she's employing. Like people's livelihoods are in her hands, kind of a little bit. So big ups to her. Big ups to the baby girl doing her goddamn thing. But this week, I have been having feelings of inadequacy.
Oh.
And I don't know what it's stemming from. Of course, I looked at the calendar and was like, all right, that thing is coming. Here today I looked and said, what is going on with you? Because you are a sad girl. But I was not realizing I was listening to another podcast that was recommended to me, and they talked about happiness being a skill and not an outcome. And that often, and I want this to be a topic, like a full, fully fledged topic that we really go into deeply and that we dissect. But I know that I'm very outcome based, and that I've lived my life as like a list of goals and haven't really, I think, honored the story of my life and like enjoyed the ride. And so I'm struggling to figure out how to shift my mindset, in all honesty, within the climate that we're in, within the city that I live in. And I'm realizing that I think I'm at that place where Instagram is making me feel really bad about myself. Like even my own productivity of why doesn't our branding look like that? And I got to get better at X, Y, and Z. And unfortunately, I can't just log off of social media because I actually help other people with their social media in addition to, doing a lot of stuff for promotion for hours. So I'm struggling a bit to figure out what that balance is. And I am dedicated, though, to exploring the idea of happiness being a skill. And I think that has a lot to do with, we say it all the time, but being present in the moment, being able to be where you're at and honor that instead of thinking about the past or the future and like tormenting yourself in that way. So, yeah, Debbie Downer, but yeah. What'd you say?
I said I'd love to talk about that with you.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the episode, too, that I was listening to. This brilliant Indian man. I forget his name, but he has, like, the top mental health podcast.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Somebody just put me on.
His wife is really beautiful.
They both are. I was like, what's wrong with y'all? How y'all just...
I'm telling you, I feel like if karma's real, well, maybe I won't say that. I'm getting myself in trouble. Top tier body to be born in, though, is an Indian body. I would say that. They are.
Really?
I feel like a top tier culture, aesthetics, food, energy, history, religion. Rich.
Not a Habesha body. I'm shocked because you love them too.
Ethiopians and the Eritreans, but no, I think Indian culture, South,
Well, you're
yeah,
biased because you
South
think you're
Asian.
Indian, Shanti.
I don't. I wish I was. I wish I was. But I think it's a top tier. Sure. It's lit.
Mm. Well, moving right along. Revlon filed for bankruptcy since we're talking about top tier
Damn.
culture. I think it's very interesting. One, bankruptcy, and their stock went up after they filed for bankruptcy because I guess people feel like they're going to get forgiven and they'll be back on top. But I think it's interesting because apparently Estee Lauder was one of these companies that was always kind of buying with Revlon as we were coming up. And Revlon was like Cindy Crawford, like those people that really, they had a certain aesthetic that they pushed, honey. It was the red lip. It
Yeah.
was the bright
Classic.
nails.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
classic, kind of
Yeah.
American/European beauty. But Estee Lauder has branched out and they saw these young companies coming up and their business plan was, all right, we don't have to be the best we don't have to beat Revlon. What we have to do is buy these young companies like MAC, like I forget who else they
Oh.
own, but they own percentages of that so that they could help control the narrative so they can
Mm.
always stay relevant,
Mm.
which is I don't know if it's incredible. It's kind of fucked up, but it's one of the it's a
Capitalism
business.
at its best.
Yes,
If you're gonna be a capitalist, then you
it's
better
giving monopoly.
capitalize.
But I also think it's interesting because during the pandemic, people really looked to these pop culture idols like Rihanna, like Kylie Jenner, like I forget all these other tween people, but folks like that who are coming out and
Millie
saying
Bobby Brown, she has her own
makeup.
yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. I didn't. But yeah, I'm hoping that this more so has to do with inclusivity. And I'm hoping that people are saying, this is not an inclusive brand. This brand, I don't feel seen here. I don't feel like this reflects me. And so I'm going to be purchasing stuff where I feel like I'm considered and seen. I hope. I don't know if that's the case.
I feel
but I
like
hope.
Sephora and
Well, Sephora's not a makeup company.
but I feel like the makeup culture and like where people purchase makeup and the ways and how people purchase makeup now is like one, you're being influenced, right? And then it's like you have the opportunity to go into Sephora, to go into Ulta and like try the stuff on. And then there's the idea that the more expensive something is,
The better.
the better. And so like it's like old lady really makeup. Like you go to CVS, although NYX, I don't know what they NYX, whatever.
Well, that's not old lady at all.
No, but they're a cheaper end makeup.
But
And
that's
you can
branding.
find them in CVS and stuff. Yeah, Revlon and stuff just is
Revlon
like
hasn't really switched
outdated.
up their branding.
Yeah, it just feels like
There's also a push on like clean cosmetics. Like there's all these different options now. But there was a woman, I don't remember her name, but she went viral online where she was showing the very dark skinned woman, beautiful ass skin. She don't even need foundation, but she was putting foundation on and saying this is not inclusive and saying, calling out the brands and saying this is the darkest color you have. This is the darkest color you have. And she was just like this.
So she got to Rihanna's. It was Fenty that matched her.
It was not just Fenty. It was Fenty and I think it was Fenty and Giorgio Armani. But they cut out Giorgio Armani, Fenty, and just used the clip up there. Because she bigs up other companies too. But I thought that was very interesting because it's like a staple. I remember being little and being influenced by Revlon and seeing the ads and thinking like, wow, I want to look like that. I remember so clearly. I remember my mom putting it on and me sitting cross-legged on the floor and watching her. get ready for work and feeling like, wow.
I learned about the bankruptcy from the Lip Bar, which is a Black-owned makeup business, who posted about it. And, you know, she definitely marketed to Black women now, and I think she's expanded her market reach a little bit more. But yeah, she gave them their props and yeah, because it's years. I can't remember how many years it is, but listen, R.I.P. to Rev One, or
I don't think they're
keep
going
on
anywhere.
going. Keep on.
When you file for bankruptcy, it doesn't mean the companies. I mean, again, their stock went up, like I think 600% or some shit, where everybody was trying to buy it because they feel like they're going to be forgiven and given loans to bail them out. So we'll see. But in other news, Drake. Our favorite biracial. I don't know about they. Just biracial angst Canadian straight back lace front wig wearing.
It's a lace front. It's probably balding. And that's a lace front.
Something's going on over them damn braids. I hate the parts. Released a surprise album. What's it called?
Never mind. Something like that.
I don't think Nevermind is not. Is it Nevermind? Because people keep saying the wrong thing. Everybody's like, okay, forget it. Okay, nah. Like, people keep saying anything. What was that thing called? Okay, Drake. Let me look it up.
Did you listen to it?
Of course. I listened to it twice. It's called Honestly Nevermind.
Honestly,
Nevermind. I don't get that title. I'd be curious to know what that means.
Honestly, Nevermind.
And people are saying, yeah, Nevermind to the album. I think. First of all, I'll let you go. What are your thoughts? Did you listen to it?
I did. I gave it one go through while I was in the studio doing shit, and I laughed a lot. It made me laugh a lot. It's like, nigga, what? And I also grooved a lot, and I felt like the idea of a rap artist, like with the reputation of Drake, like a hard rap artist. I'm so sorry, Antoinette. I'm gonna order it today. I'm gonna order it.
You said that last week. You're killing me with it. Her damn cube light keeps falling off,
sorry,
y'all. Just interrupting the podcast.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, the mic is behind you. I'm gonna write this time down so you can edit it out. 3. Go ahead.
I felt like there was no other, because like Drake is persona is like hard in many ways. He does this hard, soft thing that, you know, he raps about, he's not Kid Cudi. He's not Kendrick. He's not, he definitely likes to the persona of like, yo, don't fuck with me. He's not violent or like hood, but he's not like a notoriously experimental or like conscious rapper in any way. And I don't feel like any other rapper with this kind of persona, aside from maybe like Kanye, and I feel like Kanye has dipped and dabbled and led a lot, could have done an album like him. Kendrick couldn't have made a rap album with house beats on it. Jay-Z couldn't have done it. Kid Cudi probably could have done it, maybe, but it just wouldn't have had the mainstream. It's like a thing about doing this kind of like hard act rapper, as well as having the reach and the mainstream, capturing the mainstream. I don't think anybody else could have done it except for maybe him or Kanye. Kanye could have done it much better, but he's dipped and dabbled in the past already, like kind of house techno shit. I think it was a great idea, a pregnant idea. I loved it. I love that idea of rapping on house beats, but it seemed like he just went in the studio and he didn't have any guidance or help or anybody telling him like, nigga, these melodies, why are you making up these melodies? What are you talking about? What are you saying? It didn't feel like he had anybody to like, that he turned to anybody and had them write his shit and work it out for him. Like he just went in there and was like, yeah, I'm going to do this experimental thing. And I don't think he's known for being very experimental, like from a deep place of creativity, at least I feel from him. So it was hollow. It was weird. It wasn't weird. It felt hollow to me. It felt performative in a way that was like, okay, now Drake's doing like an artsy thing. And also, I don't know what he's ever talking about. Maybe it's because he's a Scorpio and he's secretive and he like never flat out says what he's trying to say. But I never know what the source of his angst is, his loneliness. I don't understand what's wrong with the bull. Like, what are you talking about?
I disagree with you on his him being hard. I think that he has
Hard
some
isn't the
records
word.
that go hard. Or being
Hard isn't the word.
very like typical
Rapper.
rap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
what I
a
mean.
more
Like
typical rap.
Yeah, yeah.
And gives you like he's talking shit.
Yeah, he's not
kind of
like a
being
Kid Cudi.
swaggy.
Or somebody.
But I feel that he is that way at times. He's the same guy that gave us Take Care. You know, he's the same guy that gave us...
Which was great.
Which was great. He's the same guy that gave us, what's the Beyonce joint? Like, he sings and does this emo shit, too.
I'm saying
like,
nobody else could have done it but him. Nobody
oh, no, I
else could have
disagree.
done
I think it would have been a different vibe. It wouldn't have been emo. It would have been more joyful. But Chance the Rapper on House Beats, he's done it already with Crate Nada, and it was fire.
But he doesn't have the mainstream. He's not a mainstream big ass rapper. Like
I
Chance
think
the Rapper.
I think Chance the Rapper is big stream. Yes,
I
he
don't.
is. He's
I
like
don't.
he headlines festivals and shit.
Not like Drake.
No,
like
he's not Drake. Not at all. He's not close to Drake. But
it would make sense
he
if
would
Chance
have
did it.
Yeah,
Like, that would
I
make
wouldn't have been
sense.
mad. But Drake, when I listened to it, I had my mind versus my body. My body wanted to move and groove, and
That's
my mind was
very
like,
good.
"That's fucking Drake."
I know. That's so good. That is so
And it
good.
was like, and it wasn't that, and I don't believe in boxing artists up because I love the fact that he took the risk. It just wasn't executed well.
No, it was great. It was
And
brilliant.
it was like, I wish you would have reached out
I
to
know.
Black Coffee. I wish you would have reached out to Katronada. I wish
I
you would have
know.
reached out and like done more research. I wish you wouldn't have sung in the same key every
know.
song. Like vocally,
I know.
you just couldn't do it either. And I wish he would have, it would have been more of like a Black is King project where he brings people on.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, even though Black is King, people, that was interesting. And I think that was the Lion King influence that made that tricky. But I wish that he would have collaborated more with folks.
Yeah, it was
And
real ballsy.
but I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it at all. There's one song that I actually like where it's like where he's talking about the basically love being lost. I forget, and I don't hate all the lyrics. He's talking about like, hold on, I'm gonna go to it because that joint, I don't mind that one. Downhill, I think it's Downhill. But yeah, it was an interesting, and it was also to me giving biracial angst. It was giving to me Drake wants most of what Drake does. I'm dead ass. Like I think that he wants to fit in. I think that he wants to be included into specific communities that he's really inspired by, like the Caribbean community. He's from Toronto, so like. There's a whole lot of Caribbeans out there, but Drake, you're not Caribbean, I don't think. So it's tricky. So he wants to be in it, but then your mom's white and people looking at you like, hold up, you're Jewish. What's going on? So, and then you were on Degrassi, I think in a wheelchair. I might be making that up because I never had cable growing up. But I think he was like the handicapped kid on Degrassi. It was just tricky. It's just tricky for him. And I feel for him. I really do. Because I think that he has a lot of range to him. And he's not able to fully explore that range because we won't let him. And he's corny. The things he does can be corny when he explores it. but then he's talented, so then you respect him. I don't know. I haven't figured Drake out yet.
I think
really
he
haven't.
feels entitled to me. I don't think I think the way in which that it does things feels entitled. Just this thing, like, why did you, I don't know.
Why isn't he entitled to explore that music?
I know you entitled to explore. I don't even. Entitled means like I'm going to go in and like do this thing because I can go do this thing. I feel like exploring, curious and like collaborative and like in a place of like learning versus I'm gonna go do this thing because I know how to do this thing and this is me doing it. It feels different. Like Beyonce when she did Black is King, it didn't feel like she went and did African music, and even her interpretation of it didn't feel entitled to me. It felt like, she was like enjoying it, sampling it. Like, I'm gonna go get Ethiopian food, and I love this shit. I love it. I'm not Ethiopian. I didn't make it. I didn't prepare this shit. I'm just here enjoying it. Where he feels like, I don't know. I don't know. He's tricky. He's tricky. Scorpio energy is tricky energy. I'm telling you, he's tricky.
You brought Beyonce up, so let's talk about. I feel badly for Drake that he dropped this album and everybody talked about how much they hate house music, and then Beyonce dropped this house song. Everybody was like, "The Queen is back." I said, "Wow, I know Drake is somewhere punching the air right now." Did you see? There were so many. They said Drake said gay, Beyonce said gayer. And I was like, I cannot stand y'all.
That's funny. That is funny.
Beyonce's song is... What did you think?
I liked it. I liked it.
You listened to the whole song?
I heard a snippet of it and I was like, oh, I don't like this. When I heard the snippet. And then when I got in my car and I listened to it, I was like, oh, I like it. It's catchy. And also
You like the second verse?
Everybody in a spell. And
you like the second verse?
I like the lyrics as well. I'm surprised that you don't like those lyrics. I think that they are consistent with her. And what the song begs for. If there was like some complicated shit on there, I don't know. I mean, house music is like, follow me. Repeat the same shit.
We make the money every morning.
Yeah. They don't be going into those. They dropping bars. They just repeat. They just getting.
I know, but there's a trance that Beyonce has over us, and we know that she's going to drop a fire ass visual, and then we just really going to lose our minds. I think the Beyonce song is fine. I think it's fine.
Girl, you text me like, I don't like it. That's the lyrics.
I didn't like the lyrics, but what I did say, like the first verse, okay. The Big Frida things feels, it felt, I don't know, it grew on me. And I think had I heard that song and it wasn't Beyonce, I would have heard it and never heard it again. But because it's Beyonce and it's all over the place, you're in a trance. I knew though that she was going to drop that it was going to grow on me, that she's going to drop a fire visual and I'm going to love it and then love the song. And when it comes on, I'm going to dance and act a frank ass fool. I also appreciate, I appreciate the Big Frida. I love that she reaches out to Big Frida based off of the Houston connection, based off of Big Frida just being who Big Frida is. I like that it's during Pride Month. Like, I think that hers was just more well thought out. The sample is nice. What's she sample? Besides Big Frida's Explode. What's the other song? You got to show me love. So, but the release your anger, release your mind. Like, that's just not, it doesn't, the way it just feels like a, positive music doesn't slap. It's giving that in some points. And then the thing about, I got the something in my mouth, drinking the yak. It was just like, what?
Or when she
I
started
don't know.
rapping?
Yeah, it just felt like I didn't love those lyrics, but I'm gonna forget about the lyrics soon.
You
I
want
know it.
Beyonce to be working?
Huh?
You like the grind hard Beyonce. Beyonce's like,
I like the
rest. Everybody
I feel like
rest.
she didn't write that. I feel like I don't know, maybe it doesn't feel authentic to her. Like
Mm.
are you doing that? Because when you sitting there talking about I woke up like this, I'm flawless, like I or you're a diva, like that felt authentic to her, you know? It felt like, oh, I believe that.
But
Not
she
that you
wakes
woke
up
up.
like that?
No, but just the swaggy nature of like, I'm gonna talk my shit. I'm a diva. I'm fucking Beyonce. I'm here. I'm the queen. Like, I get that. This feels less authentic to her, but we also haven't seen her in a billion years. But I'm
Well,
excited to see what the project brings. I mean, it's Beyonce. I like the idea of Renaissance. I think that we do need it. I think we need joy. I think she's gonna bring us joy. Um, and I'm curious to know how that renaissance is going to how it's going to look, especially with this being the first single. Like, is the whole album this? Is the whole album house, or is it like just dance records, like different kinds of dance records? Like, who knows? But I would love to see people voguing. I would love to see Wonder Woman involved in it. Like, I want to see us Black people in their totality, like displayed and celebrated. Like that feels exciting to me. What feels less exciting to me is people saying that she's about to reignite house. And so, like, I don't know if house ever really went anywhere. It's like a niche thing that you either fuck with it or you don't. And I know that you got people going in our goddamn comments with that all music is Black music. And I read that too, and I was like, is it? Because I really don't know. I don't know if all music is Black music, and maybe you could educate me on that. But I do know that house music is Black music. And I just want to big up the Chicago, because house emerged from Chicago in the early 1960s. Its pioneers were a group of Black American DJs who were very well versed in disco and hip hop subcultures, and they embraced that synthesizer. And people, I mean, it's really was founded by gay black folks, and basically DJ Frankie Knuckles is called the godfather of house. So if we're going to talk about house, if we're going to say, so a lot of people say, I don't like it, it's white, it's disco. And I just want to make that really clear that it's not. That's not where it originated. And yeah, it's close to our hearts. But what did you, when you saw that tweet, like all music is Black music?
I mean, that was not the most important thing. It was the
Oh,
fact
okay.
that the idea that people thought house is white music, and that it
Oh,
actually
okay.
originated from Black folks. The all music is Black music. It
That was,
feels about 98%
yeah, I was like, it's given,
right. It's
I
about
don't know about
98%.
98.
I
That's a
do.
lot.
I think for the most part, it's given. You have jazz. You have any kind
Jazz,
of Latin
blues,
music,
country,
salsa, hip hop, R&B, rock.
the Krishna shit is given Black sometimes. When I hear it, I'm like,
The murdunga drums.
yeah, I'm
Maybe.
like, this
I
is
mean,
feeling
Black people,
influence.
if we're going to
But I'm
be
talking
about...
like Beethoven and them, and
Listen,
I don't know.
people
That's why I'm
say
like, educate
Beethoven's
me.
Black, okay? They're saying that nigga's Black. So I
Beethoven
wouldn't
was
be
Black?
surprised.
What
Yeah,
about
you haven't heard that?
No, what about Handel and
Maybe not. I mean, I guess all music is Black music. That's a wild generation. Maybe scientifically true because all humans,
generation? You mean generalization?
generalization, but
Oh, okay.
maybe the original man was Black. So all
Did you
sources.
see them going back and forth in the comments? I was like,
I
I'm
did.
staying
I
the
said-
fuck out of this.
I said, wow.
I wasn't mad at any of it. I think,
No.
but I do encourage healthy dialogue, and y'all was going the fuck wild in there. I was like, all right, talk nice. I wanted to jump in like, guys, come on, let's respect each other, but I didn't. I was like, let me just let y'all work that out. But shout out to House.
I would just say, I don't think that the idea that Beyonce's going to Beyonce has the power to make house mainstream and to bring conversations around house. the same way she does around like the ballroom
Anything she
culture,
does.
everything she does. She don't never, she ain't gonna bring it back because it never went anywhere, but she can bring a spotlight to it like nobody else. And the fact, that's why I think maybe it is like, all right, it's the positive shit doesn't slap, but even these ideas that she's talking about and making mainstream around, getting free in particular ways, whether that's quitting your job or resting or like getting away from negativity, not being overworked, realizing that you are overworked and you're super tired and not doing it anymore. I think it's dope. I think it's important.
I will say shout out to my homie who the very next day did not go into work. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, Beyonce said, quit the job. I said, oh my God, you tripping. But we're going to see. I'm excited for her project. We love Beyonce. Moving right along, we have a voicemail. This is attached to an unpopular opinion that I had that had the internet, had the Around the Way curl community in shambles. There was a divide. I received many phone calls. I also received many a private DM saying, girl, I didn't want to say it, but thank you.
I just want to say the poll said what it said.
Yeah, because people don't, but you're missing my point. I received so many private messages where like, I ain't going to vote on that and I ain't going to say it out loud, but girl, I agree. So, and you also shared the poll results maybe 5 hours after you put it up. I didn't.
It was the next day.
Yeah, but you put it up late in the evening.
No, I didn't.
So it wasn't a full 24 hours.
It was. That's not true. That's not true.
I don't agree with that assessment.
Well, you didn't post it.
All right, we're going to play this voicemail. And here we go.
Hi, this is Ashley. I'm a relatively new listener, but I love y'all. I've been stopping by Stable Collective for years and love the show. Been really, really getting into it. It's been keeping me going. Great things to say about you from Roots Picnic, all the good stuff. But, Antoinette, you knew this was coming. And your take on the Wiz was horrible, fam. It was horrible. And I just feel like you knew that it was horrible and you were saying it just to, like, get onto everybody's skin. But just a couple of things that I wanted to point out real fast. One, The Wiz is not a remake. It is an adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, which I think is an important distinction because it's not like they're trying to be The Wizard of Oz. It's a different take on a classic story, which feels important.
A bad take.
Agree with you. The lighting was bad and very questionable lighting. Can't fight with you on that. Also, The Wiz is also giving a little bit of camp as, like, a genre, and as a result, like, some of the, fantastical things that happen, like the subway and coming to life, all that, like, that's a part of that camp genre. And so just, like, wanting to encourage folks to, like, look at it through new eyes and not look at it to be, like, exactly like The Wizard of Oz with the Wizard of Oz type budget. Anyway, love y'all. Love the show. Internet, it is the ghetto. I heard the previous, like, caller talking about, if you're dating women, would you be poly? Blah, 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 blah. Dating women should be wonderful, but it is not that much better. So it is what it is. It's hard out here for all of us. But hopefully, you all can have a still wonderful and fun summer despite everything. Love you both. And, yeah, just stay safe in these tough times.
All right. Shout out to Ashley. I would like to clarify a couple things. Again, when it comes to The Wiz, I do not deny its cultural impact. I will say that the lighting was bad because the budget was next to nothing. And that is indicative of racism. And so I don't fault them for I'm just saying what it was. All right. I'd love to see The Wiz redone with some money. Now, the cultural impact, I think, is important because it was a film. It wasn't a black film, they said. It was a film with black actors. And they fought long and hard to get that film in regular everyday movie theaters, and they got it done. So shout out to them. That's incredible. Diana versus Stephanie. Somebody wrote me a think piece about how Diana Ross was cast in the film because they wanted Dorothy to appear to be older to show the plight of Black women and how Black women aren't able to advance as quickly as Judy Garland was as a young white girl. So the Black woman was still stuck in her childhood. And I said, too far.
Wait. Was this a satire or was this, were they joking?
No, they were dead ass the fuck serious. Like they wrote me a think piece. They had many theories on the Wiz, but that was the one that stuck out to me when I was like, all right, I cannot read this anymore. I thank you, but no. Also, Stephanie Mills, I stand by what I said. Stephanie Mills should have been cast in that movie. She was the appropriate age. She was the star on Broadway. It was blasphemy that she wasn't. Diana Ross was cast because Berry Gordy was her man and colorism. Also, you can love something that's not good. There are many a movie that I love that are bad movies. And I know they're bad. I know that they're not executed well. One of my favorite movies is Tremors. Have you ever seen Tremors?
No.
Oh, you have to. It's terrible, but it's so good. It's like Kevin Bacon's in it. He's yelling at these monsters that come out of the ground. And the monsters are basically, they look like sock puppets sometimes because they don't have budget.
Yeah, like 80s drawing.
Reba McEntire was in it. Incredible film. Terribly done. Yeah. But incredible for what it was. When you look back, you're like, this is so bad. But I will never not watch it and enjoy it. So that can be what The Wiz is to y'all. It's okay. Again, I'm not saying that the concept of The Wiz is bad. I'm not saying the music is bad. I'm not saying that the overall Wiz is bad. What I'm saying is the execution from musical to film, it ain't translate for me. And many others. And I speak for those oppressed who we are not allowing the space to disagree just because this is a cultural icon
it's
of a movie.
Okay?
It could be
it's
sacred.
So,
all right.
Also,
this is what
I just
Kanye was
say,
saying. This is what Kanye was saying.
What Kanye said? It was slave
This is
mentality?
what Kanye was saying. Yep, this is that you have to fall in line if you're Black. You can't have your own thought process.
Whatever.
And I'm not being an agitator. I'm being dead serious. I see what Kanye was saying. Okay. If you want to be a Black Republican, you could do that, but you got to accept the consequences. And I'm willing to accept the consequences of not liking The Wiz the film.
Interesting.
And I'm also willing. I'm Moses.
I'm
shepherding us. I'm shepherding us from the bondage. I'm shepherding the Hebrews. Okay, go ahead. Parting the Red Sea.
I also want to say, I want to just put a little period at the end of that. Queer gay relationships are the worst. I was woken up at, or among the worst.
I was woken up. That. I was about to say. Don't put words in Ashley's mouth.
After days, again, being revved up, I finally put my head down to sleep and was awoken at 1 o'clock in the morning to my neighbors physically fighting outside in the street. Like, you ever seen
Stop fighting.
Kittens? Like, this is what it looked like. Swear to God, they were just tumbling on the ground.
Have you asked that lady if she's okay yet?
Listen, I was going to, but then JoJo was like, JoJo told me, and I trust JoJo's intuition. I trust JoJo more than anybody. She was like, you gotta mind your business.
Oh no.
I'm telling you, it was wild. It was wild. They are just wild. The girl, you want to know what caused the scuffle?
What?
The one, all I heard was, "You call my mom a dirty bitch," and then it was a scuffle. I said, "Wow,
wow! Keep my mother's name out your
exactly what she
mouth.
said. Don't talk about my mom for what my mom did to you for you." I said, wow, I can't. Tumbling on the concrete at 1 a.m.
Wait, the baby wasn't out there, right?
No, the baby was in the house.
By itself? It's a baby.
Girl. Sleep. It was 1 a.m. Hopefully the baby was asleep. I didn't hear her crying. I was
This
listening
is
for
giving
her.
Dave Chappelle. I rode around. It was a fucking baby in the shit.
No, it was two women. I thought it was a cloud of. It was just I swear to God, if you could see, this is what it looked like.
Y'all gotta see her
like.
hands. Y'all
Y'all
gotta see her
like.
hands.
She was whooping her ass. She was like, "You call my mom a dirty bitch?" I was like, "Damn, not a dirty bitch." She took to the playground. I was like, "Wow."
Well,
Well,
shout out to Black Love. And shout out to Pride Month. We haven't shouted it out yet, and shout out to it. Tricky.
It's hard out here for everybody. It's
everybody
equally hard for
everybody
to find
all bodies. It's hard, tricky.
God help us.
We're gonna fly by politics as usual again because we're running out of time. Gun legislation is currently being circulated in the Senate. And members of the motherfucking GOP, which is the Republican Party, broke from Republican leader Mitch McConnell, the devil himself, who said to actually support this bill. They broke from him and was like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're officially going to whip votes to oppose what I feel is minor gun reform legislation. In this bill, anyone convicted of domestic violence against a former or current dating partner would be banned from purchasing a weapon. The bill enhances background checks for firearm buyers under 21 years old.
How so?
It also provides. Excuse me.
Sorry, go ahead.
It also provides $200 million for grants in states to upgrade criminal and mental health records. It creates criminal penalties for straw purchases and gun trafficking, which means a straw purchase is basically when a person agrees to buy a gun for someone who is prohibited by law from purchasing a firearm. And the legislation requires Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to give guidance to states on improving access to telehealth services for basically mental health, because
with $200 million for all of the United States.
$200
million. We just sent $40
$40
billion to Ukraine in weapons.
And this is
weapons, majority in weapons.
And this is why I said this is minor gun reform. Also, in the bill, not every state has to apply these laws in the same way. So your more liberal states are going to be more liberal. Your more conservative states are going to be more conservative. So I'm not thrilled with this. But the fact that they are even opposing this, I'm like, yo, what is wrong with y'all? It's still supposed to pass. They still feel like they have the votes. But it's tricky when people start to whip votes. If you've ever watched...
What does that mean?
When you whip votes?
Sounds historically...
Did you ever watch House of Cards?
No, she said I should watch it, though.
You should watch House of Cards, because he was like the whip at one point or another before he became a whole lot of other things. But basically it's when it's your job to sway people. And you do it in a way where you're like, yo, if you want such and such a bill passed, yo, I know that you need X amount of dollars in your state, right? You politicking to get such and such passed. This is what your base wants. If you do X, Y, and Z, then we can get that for you. Or they're like, yo, remember that prostitute you slept with a couple years ago that I got pictures of you with? If you don't want that to come out, shit like that. It's tricky.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it sounds like a bunch of hootenanny. Sounds like what?
It just sounds like it sounds performative. Again, you know, you put $40 billion to support Ukraine. Not all of which is going into weapons, but majority of that money is going to weapons.
Which I don't think it's bad to support Ukraine personally.
I think that I feel like it's a proxy war. I think we're basically at war as well. We're
Oh,
giving 40.
we are, but we can't say we're at war because if we say that, then it's World War III.
And that's tricky stuff. I think there's a strategy to support Ukraine. No, not helping people that are being slaughtered, their lands being taken. It's, all of the historically disenfranchised. Nothing's wrong with that, right? But you're doing it strategically. Why Ukraine? Like,
of course.
Why? Of all the places, why? Why? And that's just not being. It's just. It doesn't make sense to me. Yes, helping people makes sense, but America's not out. Obviously, America don't give a fuck about really helping people because they're not even helping their own people that are clearly in a crisis.
Also, they just said that the Uvalde school is going to be demolished because they were like, we can never ask another student or a teacher to go back in that bitch.
Amen. I
actually was in alignment with that. Moving right along, because it's getting tricky over here. Gas prices. I just want to be clear about gas prices real quick. Gas is over $5 a gallon in most parts of the country right now. And the last time a barrel of crude oil cost this much was July 2014. At that point, a gallon of gas cost $3.54. So to be clear, gas companies are charging this because they want to fucking charge it, and we're paying for it. And they see on the horizon these electric vehicles coming in and fucking up their coins. And so they're saying, we're going to get it while it's hot so we can cash out. So everybody blaming this on everybody else. I ain't saying it's not somewhat of the government's fault or whatever. I don't understand it all completely, but all I know is the math ain't mathing. So that's all I got to say before y'all just start blaming Joseph Robinette Biden for everything now. It's a big old government and world. And the global economy is fucked up. But go ahead.
And I guess what feels really scary, a consequence of that, I read on NPR and I was listening to this. Actually, it was a really good segment from a black farmer, is the consequence of the oil prices, the consequence of the wars in Ukraine and Russia, climate change, COVID-19, is that it's affecting our food production. Mm-hmm. Ukraine and Russia are kind of like the largest producers of wheat and grain, and they have not been able to put in any of the grains. That means come harvesting time, there's nothing to be harvested. India, apparently, because of the extreme weather conditions, also is having trouble producing crops. And so we're probably not feeling it right now because this is like normally the time that all of the food is growing. But come fall, come winter, when things should be harvested, there is going to be a global shortage of food. And that's very scary. And I think that they're not talking about it because people would freak the fuck out. But in places like Ethiopia and third world countries, Somalia, Kenya, they're feeling it. People are starving. The price of food globally for everybody is going up, and shit is about to get very, very interesting. And my doomsday dad, that's what I call him, because he's all about the conspiracies, is like gotten all canned food. He's like prepped and ready for whatever's down the pipe. And I don't think it's crazy to, like, of course, maybe not, have shit stockpiled, but I don't think it's unwise to have food stored up, water stored up, candles stored up. And I myself need to do that and get that together, because I think we think it's not possible for us, but baby, it's crazy. Keeping it positive here, Around the Way Curls. Keeping you positive, keeping you excited, giving you a reason to live over here. Stick with us.
Shanti, do me a favor and give the patron spiel while I find a voicemail.
want to shout out all the new patrons. Thank you so much for joining us on our Patreon. If you want to listen to our silky voices and see our moisturized faces and glowing skin, then you too want to become a patron on our Patreon. We also have extra episodes coming to you, as well as some extra footage of us arguing, discussing things, geeking, basically setting up before each video as well. So shout out to the folks that were interested and have signed up. Shout out to Jamar, Larissa, David, and Lioness. Ram.
What the fuck?
Is it lioness or lioness? Either way. Ram.
Something is wrong with you.
I don't know.
All right, Joe, we got a couple more voicemails, and I don't want them to sit any longer. They've been sitting for quite some time. The first one is from May. So let's go ahead and play this John out. Okay.
Hi, Shanti and Antoinette. My name is
Shanti.
I live in upstate New York. I'm a new listener. I love your show. I love you guys' perspective on life. I'm actually married to a white woman. We have 3 beautiful children. I love your show because I get a little insight on how mixed kids or just mixed people in general go through life and how they're perceived and stuff like that. And I love what you guys bring to the table. I listen very intently so that my wife and I can get an idea of like things that we can do as parents to make sure that we do the best that we can for our kids, for them, you know, throughout life. I just asked, do you have any advice or any ideas that parents of biracial children can do to just make sure that there's always inclusion, to make sure that there's always, you always feel loved, you don't feel shunned at any point, or, you know, are there just things that you wish you could have received while you were growing up? I love the show. I'm going to continue to listen, and thank you.
Let me tell you something, Daryl. The biracial angst that just came up in us.
That's a whole episode, Daryl.
We can make it a whole episode, but I think let's give them something now. Give them a little something. We can make it. Brian, can you put on the shared notes to make it a whole episode? What to do and not to do with your biracial children. For me, my main thing is to not ignore race, to talk openly about it. My household, I wasn't even told I was white and black. I was told I was mixed. And then it fucked me up for a long time. I think when things arise, if they do within your relationship with your wife, if there's any kind of racial tension or even cultural differences or just brush ups, talk about it. Your kids see it and they feel it. And for me, it would have helped me to know what that was and help me navigate my own identity. And I think asking your kids questions about their experience, because you said upstate New York, and I don't know where that is, because upstate can be tricky for Black folks and mixed kids in certain places. So trying to understand what their lives are like, what questions are they asked? And it could be very different now that I feel like it's normalized a little bit than when we were growing up. I think that we were like a little bit more. I think there weren't many it was like me and my sister in my school, and I went to a pretty large school where I was, and I was in like a mixed community. It was a big deal that my parents looked the way they did. Nobody else's did. So I don't know if that's the case anymore. So what about you?
I think that's that's really good.
I'll piggyback.
Antoinette. No,
My answer, y'all.
no, I do. I agree. I think that's really good. I think that the kids should have access to both parts of their themselves. Like again, I love there are things that they are figuring out and won't be able to process and name and identify, that you can't do the work of doing for them. But it's just, again, they should have access to both parts of them. So they should go to your family's house. They should be around Black folks and they should be around white folks. And, it gets really tricky, again, when if they're the only brown child in a white environment. I don't know why, but that just feels like a more difficult thing to navigate than the other way around. And I don't know. I have to think about it. I guess I'm still processing my stuff, but
At the tender age of 35.
I feel like, and what Antoinette said was good. I also don't feel very tender about it. I don't feel like it's a raw thing. I feel very matter of fact about being biracial versus like this angst around it. And I think it was just, I was in primarily Black spaces though. I was always in primarily Black spaces. And then I learned, but I also was not uncomfortable being in white spaces because that was my family. That's a longer conversation. I got to figure out how your wife is, what the family's like. Like, you don't want it to be this, like, I learned a new word, y'all, and I'm going to use it. This saccharine experience either. This, like, overly sweet, like, sentimental thing either, where you're trying to, like, protect them, or you're trying to, like, your wife is trying to do things that she doesn't know how to do. I kind of respect my mom's ignorance in a lot of ways. She never tried to maybe not ignorance, but she never tried to like overstep or like get in spaces where she didn't get in, and vice versa with my dad. So I don't know. Maybe that's not helpful. It's hard out here, but I'm telling you, this nation is going to have to reckon with the biracial kids, because the swirl is spreading, y'all. The swirl is spreading. The food is on the shortage, and the brown kids are on the ramp coming out. So, new world coming, y'all. New world.
So we had another voicemail where someone asked us a question, but I'm going to save that for next week because we don't have succinct answers. And I'm going to play one more voicemail because they're piling up, which is a great thing. But I don't want them to go.
We should just have an episode where we answer questions too, like the first.
I love it. We don't have enough questions. A lot of it's just people telling us stuff. So Let's see what this is.
Hi, girls. This is Des calling from Texas. First of all, I wanted to give a shout out to my therapist for the little nuggets I'm about to give y'all. I just got done listening to episode 181, where y'all were talking about just how y'all been feeling and things. And y'all said something about betraying ourselves. And Antoinette, I know exactly how you're feeling because I've been there too, where I've betrayed myself, and my happiness suffers. And my therapist helped me see that how we betray ourselves is when we go against our core values. Going against your core values, you get stuck into jobs that you don't want to do, and get into relationships that you don't want to be in, or you're not very happy, or you're seeking, instant gratification for, or chasing after those little carrots, like you were saying. I just want to offer y'all, Rumi has a poem called The Guest House, where he says that each feeling is like a guest that you invite in. And I believe that sometimes where that chatter comes from, the deep, dark holes that we go down, where that comes from is that we're allowing those guests, that guest of anguish or that guest of shame or, those feelings of anger or whatever, we let them have the driver's seat. And that can really run them, our happiness suffers from that. Y'all also talked about like intuition and what's the difference between like the chatter in your head. And I'm a spiritual person, so I believe that intuition can stand on its own. It's a voice that can stand on its own. Whereas the chatter is linked to something else. Like when you investigate it, it's linked to shame or it's linked to your image about or those unwanted identities that you don't want anybody else to notice or whatever. And then Shanti asked, what if you can't think your way out of it? My therapist has also given me this, and that's radical acceptance. Like sometimes we can brainstorm, but it doesn't do you any good.
Uh-oh.
That is so embarrassing. I got cut off. But just really quick, it's radical acceptance. I think you're right, Shanti, when you said that sometimes we just have to sit in it and we soothe it, like because our feelings, they're guests, but they come with messages. They come with, our and so how I interrogate those feelings is, am I feeling shame? Is what I'm feeling a portal of shame? Am I going against my values? What I'm saying to myself, that type of thing, and really understanding where those voices are coming from, and squeezing the juices out of those feelings. But anyway, like I was saying, I think that we abandon ourselves, and the only way we free ourselves is by following our core values. I do think that life is disappointment, but it's also goodness too. It's sour and it's sweet. Y'all talked about, duality is everything. So I do believe in that, but sometimes it's just, we are managing misery, but we're learning from something. We're learning from that and how we grow and how we do that. And I think, our core values are like our lighthouse. And if we can just follow those, I think that we'll be all right. Anyway, love you guys. I hope y'all have a lovely day. Thank you for giving me your time. Bye.
I love that.
Yeah.
It was very rich.
It was.
Very rich.
Thank you for that. We ain't even had to pay for it, King. Wow.
No.
Yeah. Lots to unpack there. Love you too. I wrote down earlier when I heard that, because I'm starting to feel these bitches, because I don't want nobody saying that crazy. But I wrote down radical acceptance in big bold letters, and I started to cry, because I remember in the moment I've had felt something all day, and I don't know what it was, but it was a deep, I don't know where it was stemming from rather, but it was a deep not dismissal, a rejection of myself.
Today?
Mm-hmm. All day I felt like that. And then when they said that, I just remember writing it down and just crying and being like, how do you do that though? I think I got to get back into therapy. But radical acceptance is something that I think I'm just gonna put around the house and figure out what that looks like for me. And I think also the core values, maybe I'm not radically accepting myself because maybe there are ways that I'm going against my core values. And I'm in conflict with myself, maybe, possibly. So, things to explore. More happiness on Around the Way, girl.
More exciting, inspiring, encouraging affirmations. No, I think it's real. No, I think that's the realest shit. I think this is the bulk. This is the journey that you're talking about. Like, this is it. This is it. This is it. And I think that it's kind of like when you're doing a wall. What's that called? When you have your arms out, a wall squat. You know, when you put your back against the wall and you bend your knees and you put your hands out. And kind of like accepting that's what radical acceptance often feels like. It hurts. It's painful. You want it to end. Stop. But like you're building something. You're building something else. You're building a strength somewhere else. And the Buddhists say the more that you hold these hard parts, the more it softens you in a way too. It opens up your capacity, your heart in a way that feels very contradictory and very vulnerable and very scary. But that's the work. That is the work of just breathing. Either it's breathing through it. I don't know, girl. Shit. But,
well, I know I know one thing. We have to take a break. So we first thank you to all of the callers. Please, if you have advice, if you have questions, if you have unpopular opinions, please call us at 215-948-2780. That is 215-948-2780. And when we get back, we're going to get into our main topic, which is I'm very inspired by, and it's empathy and what that looks like and what that means. So, Shani?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Boop. 127, child. These long ass podcasts. You need to do anything, or we can go right into it.
We can go into it.
And we are back. So, do you know Masterclass?
Yes.
Okay. So, my job gifted us Masterclass for a year, a subscription, each person in the company. And so, the other day I realized, like, oh shit, I need to use that. Oh, excuse me. That's terrible. And the first thing that popped up was the power of empathy. And I said, well, this sounds like something I'd be into, gosh darn it. And it's actually from Pharrell. Pharrell is the master teacher, and he enlists the help of like other folks. I don't remember their names, but I know the bull with what's his name? Cornel West was another one. Very interesting.
Cornel West was talking about empathy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it. See, what you got to understand is the manifestation of the...
Yeah, very much. But Pharrell was really thoughtful with how he was talking about empathy. And so I think something that I've been experiencing, and you actually had this as a topic, and we can bring it up now, but how people drive says a lot about them. And as I drive in the city, I get really upset and disheartened when I see certain actions. And I think that it is directly related to their lack of empathy and care for one another. For instance, the double parking in Flatbush. It's a sin. People just don't care. They will literally park their car, get out for the night. right next to your car. And if you have an emergency, good luck. There are signs on people's cars saying, please do not park me in. When people are honking the way they do, the soundscapes of New York outside my window all day and night, it's just this frustration, this anger, this angst of like, why are y'all like that? When you drive out in the middle of the intersection and you just, because you didn't want to wait at the light, you felt like you needed to be able to make this light, and now you're causing traffic for everyone else. I can see how this might not yet relate to empathy with folks, but to me, it makes me think that we have a lack of humanity. We don't have consideration of other people. And it's so evident in our everyday lives, from how we respond at the grocery store, from when you're on the subway and it's time to get on the train or off the train. Like, it's just this mad rush of just self, self, self. And I think that that's why we're slowly dying as a people. Truly. Truly. And empathy is defined as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And he goes on to say it's the foundation for connection. It goes to the root of humanity. Empathy is the vehicle to self-awareness, which I was like, holy shit, that's interesting. And Pharrell says the self-awareness is essentially you realizing and recognizing I am a part of something bigger than myself. And I think that we really move through life forgetting that somehow. And I think part of it is social media, it's self-promotion, self this, self that. Positive shit don't slap. It's all that kind of stuff that we've fed ourselves. Like how often am I had to ask myself, like, how often am I wrapped up in just me? How often am I only thinking about my own shit and I'm forgetting about interconnectivity and like humanity and everyone else? And I think I do an okay job at it. But I think that there's room that all of us can grow. And so I also want to say, before I'll get off my soapbox, but like, empathy and sympathy are different things. Like, sympathy is when you feel sorry for somebody. Empathy is when you see them, and even if you don't agree with them or fully understand where they're coming from, but you try to understand why. So examples of empathy are like being in a relationship with someone and they've done you wrong. You don't have to accept the behavior, but humanize them in a way where it's like, wow, what happened to you? What caused this in you? What's going on with you that you act like this? Empathy is also during the pandemic when we were chastising people for hoarding supplies and toilet paper. And it was like, well, what's going on with that person? Maybe that's the only way they can actually make money. Maybe they actually lost their job, so they're it doesn't make it right, but maybe they lost their jobs, and so they're only thinking about self. They're not thinking about everyone else. Empathy, like, there's just so many ways in which we can take a step back and try to understand someone. And I'm not sure that any of us are really practicing that fully. What about you? Like, what are your thoughts? Do you think about this throughout the day?
I feel like empathy is connected to compassion, right?
Yes.
Like they're one and the same. And I think that, I think all of that is rooted in how people treat themselves and see themselves and like navigate the work that they do with themselves. I think the idea of people thinking about themselves is not rooted in real self-awareness though, of themselves and what their needs are and what real connection is.
Unpack that more.
I think I'll give an example of, for us,
Mm-hmm.
something would happen, say I was supposed to, or I said, what's the example? You did something. You did something. You handled a responsibility. And you mentioned to me, like, oh, you didn't even say thank you for handling that responsibility. And I was so wrapped up in my own sense of trying to protect myself in a particular way, trying to on the defense, not really present with myself, not really present. I was just kind of like in a defense mode and not able to like really sit with whatever feelings that I was feeling, that I couldn't really see you in that moment and be like, oh my God, that was like, I didn't even, it wasn't even in my mind to be like, oh, she just wanted, she's looking, to be like seen, like for, thank you for something. But I think if people are really sitting in them with themselves and like not revved up in their own negative self-talk and their own negative practices, and they could be more compassionate with themselves and they can offer it, they can see it in other people more clearly. I think everybody's just kind of like on a defense. Everybody's just kind of like trying to protect themselves in a way and don't offer themselves. They don't soften with themselves. So how do they expect to like soften or see or really feel other people, like, yeah.
It's like the antithesis to me of empathy is like judgment, bullheadedness, like ego and selfishness. And even in defensiveness is a good one as well. I think that oftentimes all of those things are attributed to survival, right? It's self-preservation. And that brings me back to like what tragedy happened to us that we are this way, that we don't recognize it. To get closer to ourselves is to also get closer to others. Is to how do you humanize yourself if you aren't in touch with humans? If you can't see anything clearly. But I will also say that some of that kind of selfishness and ego and I guess savagery, right, is also a slumber. It's also a state, I think, like a mindset state. I think that we've fallen into that where it's a trance almost, where we are willfully neglecting parts of ourselves that see each other because it's easier not to. So we think. Because I don't know how many people really recognize the fact that they are disconnected from themselves because they're disconnected from everyone else. And that doesn't mean that you have to be like, when I say disconnected from other people, again, it means like seeing them and acknowledging that they count, that their experience, their human experience counts for something.
How can they do that if they don't do that with themselves? Like, I feel like it's the reverse.
It's like the chicken or the egg. Well,
yeah,
I
feel
don't.
like you do it first. I think you practice that with your
How can
spirit.
you? I don't know how you can do that. I think that it can happen simultaneously. I think that you take the time to be present and to just recognize everyone's human. And so when you make a mistake, or if you do something great, or whatever it is, that you see it fully. It doesn't even have to be a mistake. It doesn't have to be outcome driven. It could be your way of thinking. We get on Mr. Van Jones quite a bit about his ability to go and have these conversations and humanize people who seemingly hate him based off of really terrible, fucked up stereotypes and prejudice. But I almost am questioning myself on that because I think he has empathy for them. I don't think he agrees with them. Or let's not talk about him because he's very controversial. But someone who can
That's
do
good.
that.
I think that's a perfect person to talk about.
But someone who can do that. Someone who can see it and say, I see why you feel that way. That's not my truth. I still think it's horrible. But I see what was happening within you that caused this. And I think the more we put that into practice, the more thoughtful we are in our everyday lives. And it goes well beyond just our personal interactions. It's also our institutions. It's our parenting. It's leadership. It's like on my resume, you don't know how many times when I send it out to people to check or to get an opinion on, they say, you can take that out. And it says empathetic leader. You can take that out. And I'm like, no, because that's really important. It's really important to be able to say, like, I know that this person is not, this human resource is a human first and not a resource. And I can guide my team to see them as such. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I think that another example, like empathy also allows there to be equity. How can it, without empathy, then it's just equality. And we all know that equality is not enough in this world, especially in this country. Not when somebody's 10 paces back and then you're just gonna be like, okay, I'll give you equal amount of time to get running. I'm 10 paces back with a fucking limp. I need a head start. But it requires empathy and care to see that.
That's the antithesis of the way that the way the West functions, the way the world now is functioning.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's the only way this shit is gonna change. If people become more compassionate and empathetic with themselves and other people. But that's such a great point. I love that point.
I also think about my time in Bali, and I still have not put the right words to what the feeling was there. But I think that empathy and compassion is a part of what I was feeling there. How everything was in service to another human being because it was a reflection of God. They were a reflection of God, and they take it very seriously. So how could I serve you food that's not beautiful, that doesn't taste delicious, if I am supposed to be a reflection of God, if I'm supposed to be operating in that way? How could you work all day, right, and not be cared for and not be greeted? How could I objectify you because you have this dress on? Like everything was just and I'm sure that that's not always the case, and there's tourist privilege and all that. But there was a vibration there that was very different. And I think it has something to do with that collective connection to care and consideration. And it's really missing. It's really missing here. And I think I might be feeling that as well because while I'm very grateful to work remotely, it's very hard to get that through a screen when you're, in a space with your cat all day. There's a disconnect happening. And then all you hear are the blaring horns and the anger and the selfishness. That's how my mind reads it. And I'm realizing how sensitive I actually am to it. And I'm like, this is not humanity. Like this is absurd. This is crazy. And so I think I'm go ahead. You were going to say
How do we respond to the lack of empathy with empathy?
I think you have to, those people honking their horns, and I am not by any means someone who is able to do this all the time. But what the hell's going on with you? You're a victim to this shit too. You're in this rat race. Maybe your rent was just fucking raised. Maybe you're sick of the horns too and you're pissed. I don't know. Maybe your stomach hurts. You have somewhere to be. You can't control. That's a great way to put it. How do you respond to it? Because you can't control it, right? You can only control your response to it. But I think if we were to respond to it in a way that was empathetic, that something might shift. You know, it was like when that woman hit my car and she got out the car and was ready to fight me. And I was looking at her and I was like, but she had tears in her eyes, and her friend, do you remember this story? She backed up into my car and I was like, what is going on with you? Like, what is, because it's not about me. You hit my car. Like, it's not about me. And I'm literally came to you and was like, hey, you just hit my car, as calmly as possible. This is not about me. And she wept in my fucking arms. And that could have went really differently, you know? More of that, you know? I don't know if you can do it if somebody calls your mom like what'd she call her mom?
A dirty bitch.
A dirty bitch. That's tricky. But there are ways to do it. So I think I asked the question, how do we practice empathy more in our daily lives? And I challenge every Around the Way Curls listener to do that. And this might sound sappy and it might be like some shit that people don't care. That people don't fuck with, but like, we have to do it because we're hardening in a way that it's not sustainable. We're going to crack. We're really going to crack.
I love the rituals of, I don't know enough about Christianity, but I love the rituals in Eastern religion. Mm-hmm. I'm not like a religious person the rituals can easily become dogmatic, but I think
the word Shanti been reading y'all, but go ahead.
In the same way that, like, you know, if you want to strengthen your muscles, you know that you're going to do a curl. You know what I mean? You don't have to, like, you have this exercise that you know, like, oh, I'm going to practice this, and if I practice this every day, I'm going to do a curl. I think it's really dope that these religions, these Eastern philosophies, whether it be Buddhism, whether it be, you know, forms of Hinduism, whatever, they have these mantras that you can practice. They have these mindfulness practices. And so I thought it would be nice. Sharon Salzberg, Real Love. This is a real ass nigga.
That's
she's such a sweet woman, and she practices.
Real Love is the book, y'all, if you can't see.
Buddhism. Patreon. She inspired, this book has also inspired, what's the Bell Hooks book? Love.
It's inspired by All About Love.
No, All About Love. Bell Hooks has followed Sharon Salzberg and has a lot of like inspiration from this book.
Didn't that come out before All About Love? Or excuse me, after All About Love?
I don't think so.
Oh,
or
wow.
Maybe it's not this book, but Sharon Salzberg is somebody that Bell Hooks has fucked with for a long time. But she talks about what we can do to practice loving kindness for someone that we find difficult. And she has a meditation. So it's like a ritual, something that when these things come up, when you're in the car or in your relationships, that you can turn to like you would for flexing your muscle. So you don't have to think through it. You're just like, all right, this is what I do. And she goes to say, offering loving kindness to others who have behaved badly doesn't mean that we condone their actions or that we're trying to pretend it doesn't matter. It may matter very much, but we can have the courage and the willingness to open, to remember the potential of change, to realize that we ourselves are freed by wishing them well. We don't begin right away with the person she says, you usually begin with someone who is only mildly difficult for us, someone we find somewhat annoying or irritating, or someone we're a little bit afraid of. We don't begin right away with the person who has hurt us the most in this life. It's common to feel resentment and anger, even toward a mildly difficult person, but we undertake this practice in spirit of adventure. So if there's a difficult person that comes to mind, you can visualize them, say their name, see what happens as you offer the phrases of loving kindness to them. Phrases like, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. And so there's like those are just like 4 words that can move that anger or that frustration or resentment towards a different emotion, and just like you said, changing the vibration and offering them more openness and compassion and empathy. And I think that, you know, if that's like your practice and you're really doing it, and like, especially if there's people intimate to you that you know what they're struggling, like, you know, whatever the shit is that gets on your nerves or that you're having issues in your relationship with, then making those affirmations and those blessings basically to them and to your relationships more specific feels like a tool out the toolbox versus being like, I don't know what to say. It's like, oh no, I'm going to write out these phrases specific to this difficult person or this circumstance and bless it every day.
So I invite and I challenge. We invite and challenge all the Around the Way Curls listeners. Somebody calls your mom, what's she call her? A dirty bitch? What's she call her? A dirty bitch.
Your partner calls your mom a dirty bitch, who you know.
Step back. Wish them ease. Wish them love. Maybe they're projecting. Maybe their mom was a dirty bitch.
Oh,
you
and that
know.
could bring me to tears. Yes, Antoinette.
I'm serious.
For real.
I'm serious.
For real.
It's tricky. So we encourage you. Shanti, the next time somebody calls you Shantae, Shanti,
Shanti.
or Shanae,
Shanti.
pray for them lovingly. Lovingly tell them what your fucking name is, how to pronounce it, and then don't get angry. Humanize them. Maybe they have a speech impediment. Maybe they can't read that well. Maybe they don't care enough. But you are only in control of you, Queen.
And I think that energy of you doing a squat against the wall is probably that same feeling. That's the energy that you're saying these prayers with. It's going to hurt. It ain't going to feel natural. You're going to be like, this ain't natural. My body should not be doing these things. My heart should not be softening in this way. This shit ain't right.
My legs are shaking. Everything's on fire.
Everything's on
burning.
Fire. I don't know if I can continue doing this.
Yes. And that's when you deepen your squat.
And that heart be opening, and then you be like, oh my God, this spiritual shit really work. Speaking of violence,
Alexa, power off.
Mayhem.
How does she think I said her name? You know what? Compassion for Alexa.
Compassion for the government who's
I don't know how that happened, but that is tricky. Anyway, I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to say. I think I'm in my emo mood. Cancer season is upon us.
Your moon's in Cancer.
And my moon is in Cancer, and I'm finna go cry right now. So humanize me as you get these sappy ass episodes for the next 4 weeks.
Shout out to Pharrell. That's why that nigga looks so good. He out here empathizing with motherfuckers.
What was really interesting was he said he could have never done Happy, the song, because I'm happy. He was like, I could have never done that if I was to do that, if that was for me. As soon as I was asked to do that song for the film and it was in service to others and children and everything else, that's how that came out of me. He said, I did that song before. I did an NERD song called Happy, and it was not nearly as good. But as soon as I thought about someone else and something else and was in service to something else, that's when that came to be. He was like, my whole career, I thought my whole career was about me. and it has nothing to do with me at all. It has everything to do with everyone else. Interesting.
We should talk about that. I have interesting thoughts about that. But all right, let me write that down. Service.
All right, y'all. Y'all be blessed. Be empathetic. Have a great week. You're also getting a bonus episode next week. Getting a bonus episode on Monday, so stay tuned for that. Anything else, Shani?
No, that's it.
That's it, kings and queens and non-binary folks. We
Royalty.
are... Right, royalty. We're out. All right, girl.
He's so bad.
I'm going to send you the stuff, child.
What should this be called?
It's a good question. What did we say? Did we say anything?
What we just talked about?
What did we say?
Empathy.
Ugh,
Feel.
that's not going to get the people going.
No. I'm just thinking about what you're talking about. Empathy. Feeling on your boo.
If somebody calls your mom a dirty bitch.
What to do when somebody calls your mom a dirty bitch?
That's crazy.
What's the right thing to do when someone calls your mama
That
her
is
name?
too long. Offering, I don't know. Empathy. All right, come on, think about it. You can do it.
Empathy. Something about a dirty bitch. I think that's good.
I
Keeps
know.
the people going. Did you call my mom a dirty bitch?
I wish you could. You're. Oh God, your stream of consciousness.
That's what we should say. That's what it should be called. Did you call my mom a dirty bitch?
No.
That's it. That is very good.
They gonna listen
You
to
have-
this and be like, "This ain't had shit to do with that." They think they slick. Oh my God.
Exactly. It had everything to do with it. The way we brought
I
that
don't
full
know why my
circle
head's still
was
hurting. You brought that full circle. I wouldn't even think about that thing, child. Well, bitch can't be in the. You have to block that out because Apple will flag it and take it down and flag our whole podcast. They don't play that. They don't play that. Did you call my mom a dirty bitch? That's even long. That's 7.
I have to pee. I have a question for you though, so don't leave. Stay on there for one quick. I have a question.
Did you call my mom a dirty bitch? No, that is too provocative. My mom is no. I don't know. What did we say? Really to understand your feelings. Empathy is a vehicle to self-awareness. Ain't nobody gonna listen to that. The power of empathy. No. What did we talk about? House music.
It's okay though. No, unfortunately I can't. Because he needs to go out tomorrow. I just want to say
Honestly,
something.
never. Wait, we're still recording. What are you about to say?
This is a spoiler alert for Stranger Things.
Oh, you're
That
talking about-
petty that petty bad guy. He is the pettiest. He is so petty. When his backstory, I was like, really? You doing all this, sir?
But he was mad. Why? I don't remember. Why was he mad again?
Girl,
Because he was trapped he was too powerful and they had the chip in him and they wouldn't let him be powerful. And then,
because he killed his
11.
family. One.
he killed it. Oh yeah, he killed.
Because he was nuts. He was
the little
crazy.
boy. Wait, he was the little boy who killed his family.
Yeah. He wasn't well.
He wasn't
But like,
well.
bro, you really did all of that, sir? And they really kept him in the care of the other kids. You know, this nigga killed his family and is a complete monster demon, and you got him dealing with these other kids. That was poor management. Poor
But
management.
they had a chip in him.
Still, you could see he was reckless. They had to. Anyway, that's one
How
thing.
did you feel about Steve and them? I'm starting to like Steve again. I love Steve.
I
How
love
did you
Steve.
feel? How did you feel about? I didn't like the whole LA thing when they were in LA in California. I didn't like that whole plot.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know they were in LA, but yeah.
I thought the Russia thing dragged, honey. I said, when are y'all gonna just get him out of here, child? I don't need to know all this.
And that white American man would have been dead so fast now. He did not have the stamina. Hopper, you was not in shape.
Breaking his legs and everything. Eating Eggos. We need
running
to
around depressed. Sir, you would not withstand that.
And that lady, maybe she trauma bonds. She got relaxed because I don't know if they really in love. Like, y'all doing a lot. You didn't even have your first date. For real, like all that. She left her fucking kid. She left her kids that have been abducted into an upside down world twice to go save this fool in Russia.
In Russia.
Why you ain't called nobody? You got the government's number. They hid you out. You had to go. She
wasn't well. You had to go. Exactly. Left your kids.
That is a flaw in the plot. Now, the writing was flawed in that part. I said, girl, you are trauma bonding like a mug.
That is so funny.
She was. And then 11, when she bust that girl upside her fucking face, that wasn't empathetic. But I was like, you could go to jail for that.
I said you took it too far. I was hyped. I thought she was going to punt. I
wanted her to just box her.
But I said, whoa.
Not the roller skate.
I loved that what got rid of that demon was love, though, and not hate. Remember, he was like, you got to think of an angry memory. And that's what had her defeat the first kid. But then when she had to defeat him,
she didn't defeat him. Wait a minute. How many episodes came out? How many episodes did you watch? Am I behind? She didn't defeat him. That's what forced him in. She opened. What?
I know, but that. Maybe
I see. What memory was love? What memory
was her mom? Her mom saying "I love you" versus her mom getting taken away. I was like,
that didn't even compute to me. I thought she was angry that they took her mom, and she was thinking about her mom saying "I love you."
When she was angry, he was pushing her back when she was trying to get on the anger memories, and the kids were I hated those kids. I hated them.
What do you think about Mike? Mike is in love with Will. Do you see what I'm saying? What I was saying,
yeah,
JoJo?
So in love with Will.
I was like, JoJo, how you ain't picked
Will's
up?
in love with Mike.
Who is what? Who?
Will is the gay one.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I don't
That's sad.
like
It
Mike.
hurts my heart.
I don't like Mike, and Mike is giving the Penguin a skinny version of the Penguin from Batman.
Right?
I'm like, it ain't no sun where you live.
He got a Brandon face. What's his name? What's his name from the Lord of the God dang it. What's that show I watched? With the
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
Brand. His name was not Brandon. I know you did not just call Brandon. That's incredible. That's the best shit I ever heard.
He's giving those kind of faces. Like, it's like a real
Brandon
serious...
and them was on the wall, and the White Walkers had cave.
He's giving interesting white man face. Like, that's an interesting face, though. Say what you want. That is some interesting features.
Very nose. It's very prominent nose.
I don't love it, but it's interesting. It's given. Wow, I know who you are, huh? Mike's face. No. He looks like another kid.
Oh, she couldn't watch Game of Thrones.
It was interesting. Can
you believe that? So, what was your favorite episode? My favorite was the one that I was saying to Joe with the redhead girl, with Max.
Yeah, I really
that was
loved
powerful.
That was good. I'm not Nancy. Her getting caught up. I'm pissed that she's back. I didn't get that.
What do you mean?
Nancy didn't make it to the other side when they had the.
Oh yeah, I don't know why Nancy didn't make it.
I got so mad about that.
Also, was that her friend, or did they had to hire another actor to play her friend? Because that didn't look like the same girl.
Questions that need to be answered.
right?
Yeah, that nigga got on my nerves. He's like, I am
Nancy.
Nancy. He always talking. I do not like that bad guy. He is so petty and annoying. I'm like, sir, there's
It's-
bigger fish to fry in terms of trying to take over the world than your little petty ass. Petty. And I don't really like the Black Widow connection. I was just like,
Wait, what Black Widow connection?
when
What
he was
did
a
I
little
watch?
boy, when he was a little boy, he liked Black Widows, and that's why he's always in
yeah.
this nest thing. And I'm like,
I think they're trying to reel it all in, and I was like, I didn't need that. Yeah, I didn't need that.
We didn't need that. It's fine for him to be a little weirdo in his nest thing. He didn't have to connect to the Black Widow. Like, but I like it.
I willfully
love
ignored that part.
I like they have a formula, you know, and they're doing the thing. I like the pacing feels good. I'm not mad
That
at
Russia pacing did not feel
Oh,
good.
the rush. But they had to make sense of
I
Hopper
was like,
coming back.
snooze. You know that's the dude from Game of Thrones, right?
Who?
His Russian friend. The guy
Oh, really?
who... You don't remember who he was in Game of Thrones?
Oh, he was the one that was training her. Dope. I knew his eyes. I like him. I like the way his face looks.
Another weird face you like.
He has weird energy in general.
What's the black boy's name?
I don't know, but he's unbelievable. Him and the redhead, their chemistry is off. It's not giving
They're
his into
kids, asshole. What did you think about his storyline where he was trying to be cool? I feel like they had to do that because he just looks like a grown-ass man now. I was like, who is this adult? Doesn't he? He looks older than all of them. I was like, wow,
No,
he really grew up.
He looks. No, yeah, I guess so. Not really.
I also am I'm obsessed with Dustin. I'm obsessed.
Dustin's the best. He is
with
the
Dustin.
best. His character's the best. He's so smart.
He's so smart.
I don't know what he's saying all the time. I'm like, all
You
right,
don't?
whatever
You can't understand him?
No, I mean, I can understand his speech, but the way he's making these connections, it feels very like, nigga, now you know you wouldn't have figured that out in real life. But
he was the one that was figuring everything. No, that's consistent. He was the one figuring everything out every season. I'll give him that. Because I went back like a crazy human and watched every season.
His little girlfriend in their weird house. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
I like it though.
What is she, Amish? What is she?
Homeschooled.
No, she's something. What is she? It's not Amish. It's the people that don't drink coffee and they don't have alcohol. What are they?
Mennonites.
No. They're in Utah. And sometimes they marry.
A Mormon?
Mormon. She's Mormon, yes. How did you not remember that? She's Mormon.
They are not giving Mormon vibes.
Watch it again.
Nasty.
All right, I'm sending you this stuff now.
Oh, one other thing. What are you doing on Sunday?
Oh no, my mom's
you running the streets? Oh, she is?
Rude Jude's coming up. Stressing me out. You be proud of me. She tried to make me feel really bad about not going to the family Christmas party. Like
Christmas later.
Christmas. Not Christmas. 4th of July party. And I didn't. I booked a flight to go see Renee.
Oh, you going?
LA. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I was like, y'all.
Maybe you should do an episode with Renee.
We did one already. I'll ask her if she wants to. I don't know what I would talk to her about. We've done 2 episodes with Renee already.
All right, fuck that thing. Cool. That lady hasn't gotten back to me to go talk about business, nor has the man with the B. And
I'm gonna share with you the email that Mandy wrote them, and she got mad money back. She tore them up on Horrible Decisions, just so you know. Tore them up and sent it to the people in the group, and was like, just so you know, this is coming out. He called her and was like, can we please talk about this? And she was like, hell no. Anyway.
he talked, the one that we know talked to her, called her?
No, the one in the actual group, in the actual headliners group. She don't give a fuck. Well, I'll see if there's anybody that I can interview. Or do a podcast with. Let me turn this off because I need to talk to you about something. Bye, everyone.